I'm author Mark Muncy,
And I'm author Erika Lance.
and this is Eerie Travels. Greetings, travelers.
Greetings! Woo-hoo!
Yes. Oh my gosh, we are making it out of the long winter, and we are coming into full spring now. So
You're saying that when there's some record snows in some areas. Maybe they won't be there when this episode airs, but just in case you're still stuck in the snowstorm, we're just talking about the calendar things and not necessarily your present snow situation.
Well, we're no longer dodging falling iguanas down here in Florida, so that's good. So
yes, very good.
That also means it's a holiday coming up. And
what holiday is it?
And that is Ostara, which is, everybody knows it's with rabbits and chocolates, and it's the celebrating the vernal equinox, and and it's also in Egypt. They celebrate the goddess Isis and the resurrection of her brother Osiris. In Greece, ancient Greece, it's the festival of Anastasteria, which honored Dionysus, the god of wine and fertility. In Rome,
love all these gods of wine and chocolate.
Yes, right.
My new favorite holiday in the entire world.
Ancient Rome, it's the festival of Hilaria, which honored Sibyl, the mother goddess. And for modern Wiccans, pagans, and other earth-based spiritual traditionalists, it's Ostara, the time to honor the balance of light and darkness within ourselves, the world around us, celebrate renewal of nature. And we're after the long dark winter, so there are tons of ways to celebrate Ostara. I'm super happy that it's this time of year, because one of the ways to do it: eat chocolate, connect with nature, go out, take a walk, and decorate your home with the symbols such as flowers and eggs, and oh wait, there's another holiday that does that.
I was going to say this distinctly sounds like another holiday.
Yeah, it's like that other holiday kind of absorbed it, because that's what we've been talking about on all these holiday specials, is that they absorb the symbolism and all that and make it their own, because that's what they got to do, right? So
if you do not celebrate one of the ones we mentioned, and you instead celebrate that which was called the Easter happy celebration,
named after the goddess Easter.
Yeah, no, that's not correct. Let's not do that. Let's not get hate mail, Mark. We're going to get entire churches sending us hate mail. Let's try to avoid doing that at all costs.
All right. And then all you have to do is personalize your altar with mementos and, just make it special. That's the key. So.
Alrighty then. Look at our most controversial episode ever, and it's surrounding a holiday.
Hey, flowers, eggs, seeds, birds, green branches, and then of course the eternal symbol of fertility, the bunnies.
Yes, it's the bunnies, which is actually, even though you've offended a ton of people, what this episode is about is bunnies.
Yes.
And most specifically, the Bunny Man and the Bunny Man Bridge.
Oh yes, we love Bunny Man Bridge. There is a haunted attraction there every year that celebrates it, and I think we have a special guest for
we do have a guest who has much more familiarity with this than we do.
All right.
Without further ado, let's announce our guest, who is the fabulous author, Beau Lake. Welcome. Welcome to Eerie Travels.
Welcome to Eerie Travels.
Did we say hello, travelers? Did we start with that?
I did. I started with that.
I don't know why, but my brain stopped registering that. But that's fine. Welcome, Beau.
I'm glad to be here. I've been campaigning to be on this show since episode 1. Because I'm obsessed.
Yay.
Well, glad to know I'm an expert of something, the Bunny Man.
Oh my God, I love it. So let's talk about the Bunny Man. And who is the Bunny Man?
All right. So first, I'm going to send you guys a picture in the chat, and I want you to describe it to the listeners.
Oh, well, that sounds terrifying. Okay, let's.
All right. That's a new.
It's
that's
not
new.
terrifying.
Okay, hold on.
I love.
There you go. There you go. Okay.
All right.
All right. Click on it.
Okay, click on describing this picture.
Okay. Yep.
Having to open it. Okay.
I have been there. So.
Oh, that looks like a covered railway bridge.
Yep. It is
Sure
a covered
does.
trestle bridge.
Yeah, it looks super nice and just covered. What's the deal with that? Because that looks
Almost a tunnel, not really a bridge. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very short tunnel. It is a 1-lane road, one way. There is a 2-track railroad trestle that goes over top. And in that picture, it's a daylight picture.
Yep.
And it doesn't look scary. It looks just like a normal bridge.
Yeah.
But there is many a tale about the bridge. So first, I want to acknowledge my sources for this because we got to cite our sources.
Okay.
So most of my research was about Brian Conley's article for the Fairfax County Public Library called "The Bunny Man Unmasked: The Real Life Origins of an Urban Legend."
Yes.
And there's some other articles. Oh, have you read it?
I have actually spoken with him. He's one of my favorite people. So yes.
It's so good. It's a great article. And also, I got some stories from friends who shall remain nameless because trespassing is a crime.
Yes.
And I'm not going to implicate anybody in a crime.
Yes. Do not go places you're not allowed to go. Yes.
No. There is a very obvious no trespassing sign on this bridge, and the police monitor it regularly. So I do not recommend anyone go there. We'll just get that out of the way now, legally.
Yep.
Officially, we're doing quotation marks. Don't officially go there. Hashtag.
Don't.
You can drive through the road. The road is public property, but do not get out.
Yeah.
And do not stop on the bridge because someone will come and tell you to leave.
Yes.
Will it be a bunny man? I don't know. All right. So the original story is from a website called Castle of Spirits that was made in 1999. And I'm going to read the original story that I've, shortened down.
Okay.
In 1904, an asylum in Clifton closed due to a mandate by the mayor.
Right.
Inmates were transferred to a prison in Wharton. One of the transport vehicles crashed and most of the occupants were killed and or recaptured, except for 2 men named Marcus A. Wolster and Douglas J. Griffin. Later, Wolster was apparently found hanging from the overpass with "You'll never find me, and you know it too," signed the Bunny Man, written inside a muddy footprint beneath him. Spooky.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me just clarify. So he was found hanging with a note that said, "You will never find me, the Bunny Man."
Yeah.
Yes. So Douglas Griffin apparently wrote the note and killed his friend Marcus Wolster. Why? I don't know. It doesn't say.
Yep.
And there are a lot of variants of this story, as happens when lots of people tell a tale, and all of them involve Halloween, of course.
Right. Of course.
So
it should be Ostara. So, but yeah.
That's true. You think so? I was thinking that too. I'm like, why Halloween? He's a bunny.
That's probably when they found the costume at that time. So, but why the Bunny Man? Did we get to why the Bunny Man? Because that's not a name. Like, if I'm thinking of an ominous name for something, I don't go, you know what? I'm gonna name myself Hamster Girl. Like I don't feel like that's like an ominous thing to say. The Bunny Man.
Watch out! Here comes Hamster Girl. So there's many reasons why he may or may not be called the Bunny Man, if we're going by the original legend.
Yeah.
Some say that Douglas Griffin killed his family on Easter Sunday or Ostara Sunday.
Yeah.
And other stories said he survived by eating wild rabbit after he escaped because he was hiding from the authorities.
Okay. Was he ever found?
Well,
I'm skipping stories. Keep going. Keep going.
you are.
Sorry, we're
So,
we're loving this tale.
so exciting. So there are many variants of the story. All are Halloween. So on one story is that on Halloween night in 1905, 3 teens were found dead beneath the overpass with their throats cut and abdomen slit open like rabbits that had been dressed after a hunting trip. That's bringing in the rabbit thing again. Yeah. On a different Halloween night, the legend is if you speak his name 3 times under the bridge, a crazed killer in a white bunny suit will appear and slit your throat.
So this is like Bloody Mary, but bunny suit time?
Yep.
Oh, for sure.
Well, yeah, it's always 3 because you have to mock the Trinity. That's the rule for these things.
This is like the Beetlejuice rule, right?
Yep.
It is the Beetlejuice rule.
So, like I understand the Bloody Mary thing because that's kind of terrifying. Bloody Mary, that whole story. We'll do an episode on that eventually. But, Buddy Man.
Don't say it.
Yeah. Oh, too late. It's already done.
He might appear.
It was nice being a host for you guys. For
Yeah. Beau, welcome aboard. And Erika, it was nice knowing you.
Yes.
It was my ploy the entire time.
That was the whole trick. We were tricked.
Let's get this straight right now, just body count wise. And first of all, the death of anybody is horrible, regardless necessarily of what I don't know what that prisoner did. Maybe he deserved it because sometimes justice is not sought as far as I'm concerned. But so a prisoner has died and 3 teenagers have died.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And the original story references a lot more people that died. I can't remember from the Conley article how many it was, but it was like double digits. Like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Has that been proven that all those people died there under the bridge like a bunny thing?
Just wait. It gets crazy. Other Halloween night tales is that Griffin kills for revenge for the death of his wife and daughter.
That's the one I heard too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The one my husband heard is that on Halloween night, the bunny man kills rabbits and leaves them hanging from the bridge. He doesn't hurt people. He just kills rabbits. And if you go there to the bridge, you will find rabbits hung on the ceiling of the tunnel.
Has this been proven?
No.
Just wait.
Oh, God. Okay, I feel like I shouldn't ask any questions.
Yeah, let's just let's let this tale unfold. Oh,
okay.
There's layers upon layers. I was really surprised because when I was a kid, I just heard that there was a bunny man, crazed killer who dressed as a rabbit who like skulked around under the bridge, and if you went there he would murder you with a hatchet. That's what I heard.
Yeah,
but I keep hearing different things from different people because I started interviewing my friends and being like, what do you remember about the bunny man? Because we all grew up in this area and lots of us went to the bridge as a rite of passage, even though trespassing is illegal.
Yeah, well, we're not advocating that. So
yes.
Okay.
Halloween night story I have, but this one could be Halloween night or any other night, apparently, because this was not given a date. The bunny man will threaten couples who are trying to get busy under the bridge.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He does not like premarital sex, I guess.
Can't imagine where he gets that from.
Yeah, no, weird.
As he's dressed as a symbol of fertility. So
that's true. And it's funny you bring it up because I was like, okay, why a bunny costume?
Mm.
And I started thinking about animal costumes in movies, especially like horror movies where someone is portrayed as crazy. And I was thinking movies like Donnie Darko and The Strangers, movies where people, wear bunny masks or like cute doll masks. And I think it's just perverting like the concept of something cute and making it scary. Mark, do you have any insight on that?
Well, to be, I don't want to step on your toes because like I said, I've talked to our Bunny Man expert who wrote the book, literally wrote the book on it. When we went to visit the bridge, everybody, I had heard that this guy was the expert, and to go to his museum in town, and he is literally the curator of the town's historical society, and went in and started talking to him, and he talked to me for about 5 hours. About absolutely all of this. So I don't want to jump ahead of the story.
That's true.
So that'll be after the break. I'll chime in with my comments on this. But we've still got a ways to go. So you're doing fantastic. So I can't wait to hear more. So
all right. So Conley fact checked a lot of this original story.
Right.
And he found out 3 things. He found out more things, but there was 3 like very specific things. There were no people by those names that were in the prison system in Fairfax County. He could find no record of Griffin or Wolster anywhere. So essentially those people never existed or were somewhere else. Number 2, there was never a quote unquote insane asylum in Clifton. There was never one that was open. There was never one that was closed down. There was never one in that area at all. And number 3, this story takes place in 1904, but Lorton Prison, where the people were being transported to, wasn't built until 1910. So there's no way they would be taken there. So then I was like, okay, so where did the guy who wrote this website, I'm assuming it was like an Angel Fire GeoCities website, get his information from? Because even that person is like, go look it up. Like, go look at these archives. But the archives he mentions don't exist.
Yeah.
So I think he was just name dropping a whole bunch of stuff, assuming no one was going to go look it up.
Yeah.
And of course, Conley was like, I want to know more about this. So he looked it up. So there's a little bit of true crime in the story. So Conley was like, okay, is the Bunny Man a real killer that we have any reference to? And this area was a farm town at the time. Now it's very built up, and that road has like McMansions on it, with like huge acreages. So no wonder they have no trespassing signs up. They don't want the riffraff in their area. So
Conley, not be riffraff, travelers.
Don't be riffraff. Drive through it real slow, but don't stop. All right, so he found 3 cases that were pretty similar to parts of the Bunny Man story. And trigger warning for everyone, because we're going to get into murder and babies dying.
We are into the true crime section.
Warning,
trigger warning.
Yeah, I was going to say, I will do my trigger warning. If you guys cannot handle the discussion of harm to children or death or whatever, you may need to either fast forward or skip the remainder of this episode. If that is your choice, we understand here at Erie Travels, because that can be difficult for some people. So trigger warning officially in place.
That was so good. That was the best trigger warning. It was better than mine. I was just like, trigger warning.
Oh, our producer, they have requirements on trigger warning.
Yeah. They have very specific.
That's great though, because some podcasts don't give you a trigger warning. Nope. And you just are thrown into something crazy and you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
All right, so our first tale is about Francis and June Holliver. And in February 1948, they were found in a shallow grave. It was a mother and her 8-month-old daughter. Mm-hmm. What happened was they went for a drive with the husband / father to go see a new nudist lodge he had been a part of building and was a member of.
Yep.
And which is not suspicious at all, that he was the last person to see them alive. The mother was beaten and shot, and the baby was buried alive. The husband ended up reporting them missing, which it's not clear why he did that. It kind of comes up later. And it was pretty apparent that he was the one who did it.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Yeah.
As generally happens. He was convicted and sentenced to death and later retried by the Virginia Supreme Court, who accepted a plea of insanity. Apparently, some evidence that pointed to his mental state was that he kept a dead fish in his drawer. Apparently, that means that you can get away with murder.
Oh, I was going to say that's about nutso. That, yeah, I don't think that would hold water in today's day and age.
No. And it came out in the trial that he had been planning their murders for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
my
I'm
goodness.
not super sure why the insanity plea worked.
It was, it was a different time.
It was a different time, and what a gigantic piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really sucks. I didn't even write down his name because I was like, he doesn't need to be mentioned.
Doesn't need to live on in infamy.
Nope.
No.
Yeah. What is interesting about this story is that there are some connections to the Bunny Man legend. There's a reference to a wife and daughter, much like I mentioned earlier about the Bunny Man is getting revenge for his wife and daughter, which is weird because I never heard that story, the wife and daughter story related to the Bunny Man before, until my friend told me it last night, and I was like, oh, I just wrote down notes about this guy who killed his wife and daughter, and I was like, that's uncanny.
Wow.
And there's a reference to insanity, and there's a whole bunch about, this was a period of time where asylums were closing down and people were being shuttled off to prison or just let out. And there was a lot of paranoia in just the country at large about escaped inmates, especially because it would happen in movies a lot. So people were really nervous about this sort of thing. So it makes sense that this part of his story about being insane got latched onto in the collective unconscious. It seems like it's a trope that comes up a lot in urban legends.
Okay.
This was right after Pennhurst was closed, and so that's where the inmates didn't have anywhere to go and stayed on the property and stuff. So that's why this kind of conflagrates with that. So yeah.
And Mark and I have talked about Pennhurst before and how desperately want to go.
We love the Kirkbride asylums. They are beautiful places to visit. Even the ones that are left, and the ones that have been restored are amazing.
Yeah. And speaking of trespassing, I tried to slowly drive by Pennhurst and got turned around because they were like, you cannot be here unless you're coming to a haunt or have paid to come. The second true crime story is that of Minnie, Loretta, and Catherine Ridgway. In March of 1927, a man named, I don't know if it's Louis or Louis Borsig, showed up at their house to call upon their husband. And when he realized that he wasn't home, Louis came into the house. He bludgeoned Loretta, age 7, Catherine, age 5, and attacked Minnie, their mother. Only Minnie survived, and she was able to identify him as her attacker.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And part of me is not sure how this one relates, but it was one that Conley brought up. I think it was just so heinous. And there was bludgeoning, which I suppose you could do with a back of a hatchet.
Yeah. And it was, again, same area near the bridge, maybe 3 streets away. So that's why I think it gets mixed in with this legend.
And it is odd how none of these stories take place at the bridge or on a neighboring property. It just kind of latched on to this area.
To the trestle.
Yeah. And the last story is from August 4th, 1918. And a girl named Eva Roy went out to tend her father's cows. She was later found strung up to a tree, her apron strings tied around her neck. Several suspects were considered, including a man who had escaped from an asylum. The suspect who was eventually convicted was a woodcutter, and woodcutters have hatchets.
Yeah.
I do not love any of this.
And what was interesting about the man who escaped from the asylum is that he did confess to the crime, but it was only because he wanted to be taken to a different prison that was easier to escape from,
right.
And he did.
Yeah.
Well,
Guy was,
I mean, that's
you got to play the system.
logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the real Bunny Man story? The real story is not as gory.
Okay,
It's-
but Beau, I'm going to stop you for a minute because we're going to take a quick break before we do the true Bunny Man story. So
I got on a roll. I'm sorry.
you did.
No, it's all right.
It's fine.
No,
it's
it's
just fine. It's just our producer. They're amazing, but terrifying at times. So
Yes,
we're gonna
yes. There's
take a quick break.
scarier than Bunny Man. So
Yeah.
they're frog kid with the
the frog herder. Okay, we will be right back, travelers.
Greetings, travelers. Once again, I come to you with an offer. A good offer this time. Paranormality Magazine, the news for those of us who like a little weird, a little outside. You know, I think I'm speaking to my audience here. But anyway, they've reached out to us with a special offer for our listeners. If you go to paranormalitymag.com, you can get 10% off your subscription. You can get 10% off any digital issue. You can get 10% off all the awesome merch by just using the code TRAVELS when you check out. Where else are you going to find this wonderful articles and stuff like we have found for you? And man, the amazing blogs, the amazing magazine, it's so worth your time and effort. So please, paranormalitymag.com, and then use the code TRAVELS. We'll see you on the other side.
Greetings, mortals and others. I'm Dick Terhune, the voice from hell. I work with haunted attractions all over the US, Canada, and Europe to increase audiences and enhance their experience with highly effective commercials, narrations, animatronic character voices, whatever your dark heart desires. Let me help you do more, scare more, profit more. Find out more at Voice from Hell on Facebook and at voicefromhell.com.
And we're back. Oh my gosh.
We're back. Okay, so now we are at what is the real Bunny Man?
The real Bunny Man is not as violent, and there are no murders attached. But we had to cover the murders to kind of get here.
Okay.
And I think it's important to know. I was joking with my husband yesterday that it seems like the real menace in the Bunny Man story is going to be capitalism, which is really funny.
Okay.
All right. So on October 22nd, 1970, there was an article published in a Fairfax newspaper with the headline, "Man in Bunny Suit Terrorizing Fairfax." And in the story, an unidentified man dressed as a bunny yelled at a couple in their car, telling them that they were on private property, which is kind of a theme here in that if you go there now today, you will get yelled at and told it is private property.
Oh, wow.
And the Bunny Man threatened them that he had written down their tag number. So he was going to tell on them to the police. But I guess he never did this because right after this, he took a hatchet and threw it through the front windshield of their car. Luckily, neither person was hurt, but they obviously called the police and reported it. And were like, hey, this man dressed as a bunny attacked us. And I don't even think it was on the same road. I don't think it was on this road at all.
So,
but then
that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, it's Fairfax. It's not far from Clifton, but not next door. So
yeah, they're not the same place. They're a couple towns over.
Yeah.
On October 30th, our bunny man appears again.
Yeah.
He was apparently in a housing development that was still being built, standing on the porch of one of the houses. And when a security guard came up to him and was like, hey, you can't be here, the bunny man started swinging his hatchet at the house, like one of the columns on the deck or something, and just started smashing it. And then he told the security guard, and I quote, all you people trespass around here. If you don't get out of here, I'm going to bust you on the head. Then he ran away.
Okay.
This person was never found by police. They never found the bunny man.
He didn't leave any prints.
Oh my God, I can't believe you just said that.
He is a wascally fellow. He was able to
wascally wabbits. Well, I mean, a bunny costume is a really great disguise because no one will know much about you.
And you're going to describe that. Yep.
The security guard was like, okay, he's this tall. I suppose the bunny costume had an open face, so we knew kind of what he looked like and that he was a younger man, like early 20s. But they weren't able to find this guy ever. And Conley notes that there was a lot of construction. So the bunny man may have been feeling a little irate about that because this area had been farmland and pastoral, and it was now getting housing development, and later would get these huge McMansions that cost a ridiculous amount of money because Clifton is a very rich area.
Yeah.
Interesting.
A lot of people who live there work government because it's not too far from Alexandria. It's not too far from DC. It's not too far. It's like the suburb area that is an hour commute to everything. So that's where the people with the money live. So
and it's super quiet, which is how they realize that people are stopping on this bridge, and they're like, "You guys need to go. We don't want silly teenagers partying under this bridge, walking on the railroad trestles. It's dangerous, and it is
still an active train trestle." That's what a lot of people don't realize, it because it looks abandoned. So many train trestles look abandoned, and but they're not. They're CSX line runs on that into Alexandria later. So that is one of the main train lines to Washington DC. Unlike the Pope monster, which is in Kentucky, another trestle monster with an axe, a giant goat man. That one actually has a body count because people keep going to look on this trestle bridge and then get hit by trains, which is, we'll have to do an episode on Goat Man at some point. And the Pope
I'll note it down. Goat Man. Got it.
Yeah.
Goat Man. And there are many Goat Mans too. So
but Pope's the one with the axe. Series. That's the similarity of this. It's a bridge. He's got an axe. And that one, he's got a tribal tomahawk because he's a native spirit. And then later on, it turns into a lumberjack axe. And that's what I love about Bunny Man, that it is evolved over the decades. And it really does start in the 1970 with that encounter, but then they tie into these old stories to give it that urban legend, breathe it life, sort of thing. Yeah. And now you grew up in this area and you had heard that story. Now my question, and you said, it was the rite of passage to go there, right? And now which version of Bunny Man, hits you the most? Which one, when you think of Bunny Man, what do you, now that you've heard all the tales?
The one I heard in middle school, high school, was that there was the escaped inmate from either a prison or an asylum and he lived under the bridge and was killing bunnies and stringing them up. And if you stopped there, he would attack you. So my version was that he was still there. And other people hear that he's like a cryptid, or a ghost, or that he's not there at all anymore. It's just kind of like a historical place to see.
Yeah, I love that the Bunny Man Trail of Terror haunted attraction is there now, and they have themed their entire haunt around that, which is perfect, right? If you're going to run a haunted house and you have an urban legend handy, yes, you're 2 miles from there. Yes, you theme it around that. That's what you do, and I love that they do that every year now. That was one of the reasons we went to visit. Was we wanted to see the haunted attraction. We also wanted to talk to Connolly, and if you go to that historical society there, the Clifton, Virginia Historical Society, he is the curator, and he will show you all the amazing things. And they have a lot of train stuff there because it is a CXX hotspot. But then he will go into Bunny Man, and if you tell him about Bunny Man, you will go down the Bunny Trail on all these versions of the story. And that, and to this day, he still, is looking into it and trying to piece other pieces together. The true crimes, he agrees, are just, things that were just piled on. These were, sad things that happened in the past nearby. So they got added into the legend. Like we said, the guy in the suit, it's not in the town, but close, darn close. And that one newspaper did cover the whole area, so that's why it's people associate. Why do they associate with this particular bridge? That's the question. Because when you look at it, it's not even really a bridge, it's a tunnel. And
not even a long tunnel either. You can see the end.
It's what, 20, maybe 20 feet, if that, the distance of 2 trains. And it's an amazing place to visit. And the families that do own the lands on both sides of the tracks are do not come here. And on Halloween, the police patrol heavily. The whole week of Halloween, they patrol heavily. But Halloween night, they will actually set up there with the lights. Keep moving, keep on moving. You ain't stopping. And what's fun is the haunt is like, no, move around, come to see us, and you'll see the real Bunny Man. And and it's the costume they have is incredible. It is something out of Donnie Darko craziness. So now we wrote about it for Erie, Appalachia. That was because it is right on the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, which is, a lot of people are like, oh, no, it is. It's the foothills. It's, and that's where the train's going through. But now the town itself, you've grown up there, and there's a lot of history there. That town is kind of almost walking into a little bit of history, because that whole you got Williamsburg not too far, Roanoke Colony, and all these fun things. So, and a lot of Civil War battlefields nearby. So it is kind of a little bit of a time travel there, except that area where the bridge is, because it is all new construction and all that. And what's funny is I picture, Bunny Man there in the 1970s chopping to keep these houses away. And now look at it. It's, he was not successful. So
no, I would not say he was successful at all in doing this. This is just, it's interesting because, how sort of, this is like an urban legend, right?
Yeah, 100%.
By definition.
This is the definition urban legend.
And
it's like a internet urban legend in a way, in that the story was posted in 99 and it just spread like wildfire from there, like similar to the Slender Man story and other like creepypasta stories like that, in that it just like spread out and like spread through all the high schools in the area and all the middle schools. And I think that's interesting, in that cryptids can be sort of an online presence. And like live on, even if the area is kind of lame. Like Bunny Man Bridge is not frightening, though I did have one friend report that the ambiance there at nighttime is kind of spooky, because the bridge echoes and the trains go by And so there is kind of a vibe there that it's a little off-putting, but it's just a trestle bridge. That's all it is.
Just a trestle bridge. Just
a trestle bridge. And we as though, you know, trestle bridges, every trestle bridge isn't haunted, but you know, we have so many trestle monsters. We have one in Tampa, you know, that you know, we talk about, and there's trestle monsters all over. No, the bunny man, the one thing I really liked was the story of the guy wearing the bunny skins and living under the bridge. That was the one that stuck with me. Yeah, so where he killed them all, but he was wearing the skins, and that's where he was called Bunny Man, because he wore all the bunny furs, and he was like some again, an escaped asylum patient from Pennhurst, and you know, made his way to the bridge, and now he was one that rode the train there. And then
I was gonna say that's really far to go from Pennhurst to there. That's like
hopped a train and came to this bridge, and this is where he murdered someone, and this is why he stays here. And now that was the version I had heard, and that was the one Connolly was like, oh, I haven't heard that one. So I was like, okay, well, this is, I got from a fan who had emailed me a story. Hey, are you looking into Bunny Man? And I was like, I wasn't really gonna, because I thought it was more creepypasta. And then he's like, oh, no, this is the real story. And so I was like, okay, so yet another one to add to the pile. So
of the quote unquote real stories of Bunny Man.
Yep.
So with that, travelers, if you have any stories of the Bunny Man, we'd love to hear them.
Yes.
You know, what we are going to give a disclaimer. We don't often do that, but as much as we want you to adventure and do things, please try to follow the rules when you're doing it, because you do not want to upset the people of this community. I would suggest, as Mark said, going getting a really nice breakfast and then going to the museum, and your entire day being sucked away by a person who will tell you everything about Bunny Man. And then after you hear all of the stories, maybe as the sun is setting, just drive slowly under the bridge and say Bunny Man 3 times. And we'll see which one of these stories is actually true.
And if you do go there on Halloween, don't stop at the bridge. Drive around the corner and head up to the trail, and then you can get really scared by the Bunny Man. It's that haunted attraction is one of the top rated in the state. So,
and we're putting a link to it in the notes, show notes, so you can go look at the museum. You can look at that. But so in the spirit, Beau, we're not closing off, but I do want to say thank you, and thank you for all of your research on this.
Yes.
And for those that may not know, you're an author. What do you write?
Well, I write paranormal romance and I write horror. And my horror book is coming out hopefully next February 29th, because next year is a leap year.
Oh,
nice.
I like that. And that's not at all creepy at all. Okay. And we're going to have in the show notes how you can follow Beau and find Beau. But our friends at Paranormality Magazine, who are big supporters of our show, I decided to end this episode on something creepy. So before I do, Mark, is there anything else you want to say about Bunny Man before?
You can read a little bit more about Bunny Man. You know, my Connolly's book is available. Beau mentioned it earlier. You can also pick up Eerie Appalachia, my book, where I have a small section on Bunny Man. But the cool thing about that is you can also see Carrie Schultz's illustration of the Bunny Man. It's available on our website, eerietravels.com, but it's also available in the Eerie Appalachia book, or Appalachia at that point, because you've crossed the Mason-Dixon line, so it's Appalachia up there. So
so we will add all these to the show notes, but here we go. Paranormality Magazine, Beau, is one of our big supporters. If you want to subscribe to this to hear about all things weird, you can go to their site and use the code TRAVELS. You get a little bit of a discount, but it also shows that you're listening to our show, so you can follow along. But my story today is kind of a lot of people buy stuff off of like Craigslist or little Facebook groups and things like that. You can find some really interesting things on those places. It's kind of like the eBay, but for local things, right? Yeah. So this woman goes to buy these antique prints, right? But what she finds out is these antique prints, she bought 3 of them, right? One is a picture of twin young children. Trigger warning again. Where trigger warning should still stand, but trigger warning. And 2 are adult men. And then there's another picture. But what she finds out, so she travels for a couple hours to go pick up these pictures. They're supposed to be $75. She travels to go get them. When she gets there, the person gives them to her for free. Right?
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So
Happy Easter.
She was supposed to say $75. And then when she got there, they gave them to her for free. What she finds out is every person in every single one of these pictures is dead.
So like Victorian photography, like they were propped up.
Exactly. So, but they all died under these really bizarre circumstances. So she ended up getting these free pictures from a creepy person that she picked up, and they all have these dead people in them.
So memento mori.
Yeah. So when you're picking up pictures, there's a whole story. I suggest you go read it. But if you paranormal, oh my gosh, using all the words, Paranormality magazine, but you can look it up, and it's called Woman Learns the Portrait She Bought Have a Deathly Secret. Yeah. So it's very creepy, but I was reading that and then thinking about maybe we can get some portraits from the Bunny Man Bridge if people have them out there.
Oh, yeah. Send us your pics of the Bunny Man. Yeah.
I would love that because there's so many versions of this story. Does anybody have pictures that relate to any of the versions of this story?
And again, I love that there are police records of the guy with the axe, being called on and stuff. And it, kind of a lover's lane type thing there and all that. Yeah. So, and of course, 1980s Friday the 13th comes out. It, mixes with that. But anyway, yes, paranormalitymag.com. And if you order anything from them, just use the code word travels, and we'd appreciate it, and they'd appreciate it. And get a real magazine. You don't need news on, those other magazines.
Normal news is not fun.
It's true. It's
fun and interesting. And okay, Beau, thank you again for being here. We love it. And we'll absolutely have you back. And we love that you're a fan of our show. Mark, do you want to take us away?
All right. I will just say happy Ostara. Hop on down the bunny trail, and we will see you on the other side.